today we will be discussing Unit 5. So, under the psychological theories, we have Unit 5, which is under humanistic perspective. So, earlier you have discussed probably about biological, cognitive, and then we discussed about how behavior. So in this unit, we will be able to discuss the development of humanistic perspective in the historical context. For example, it's like how it's developed, who is the father. Like in psychology, the basic father was psychoanalysis, who is Sigmund Freud. But here, humanistic perspective have their own historical context and who developed it. So we'll be going through briefly through the historical context, who is the one who actually came up with the humanistic perspective. And then you'll be able to explain various sources that influence the humanistic approach. You see, even psychoanalysis is actually influenced by the psychiatry. So here we will see how this humanistic approach is influenced by who. And then we will compare and contrast the key concepts of Rogers and Maslow. These are the two main humanistic developers or theories that you can see. So you will see what they have actually have, like their pros, their cons, what's the similarity, and how they came about it. Okay, and then you will evaluate and apply all these concepts of humanistic approach in the current context. So from the beginning, you have to know that humanistic psychology was also known as humanism. It's basically to say that it's focuses on human, an individual. It says that individual has control of themselves. It's about optimal well-being, the self-actualization. But we say that human has the power to control themselves. All they need is positiveness inside it. So here it focuses the optimal well-being of individual as well as promoting well-being in healthy development. Humanistic psychology also focuses on the study of a whole person instead of separate parts like cognitive, behavior, biological, environmental. So you see, psychoanalysis will say, oh, it's the first 6 years of life. On the other hand, behaviorism will say, oh no, it's your behavior affects that is, you can change and all that. So all this is they separate parts, but humanistic approach see it as a whole. A humanistic psychologist always focuses on positive traits. You see, they are more on not on looking at what is wrong with the human being or what is it can be fixed, but they are looking at the positiveness. They say that by giving a positive attributes to this person will be able to use these positive traits to actually achieve development, growth, fulfillment, and satisfaction in life. But the problem is for them is they say that a person when doesn't have all this positive, they do not know how to actually use positive. That's when problem come. When people give them negativity. So how is you have to actually help them with the positive traits to actually help to reach their satisfaction in their lives. Okay. Humanistic psychology is also termed as a third force in psychology. It comes after psychoanalysis and behaviorism as the first two second forces there. If it's something generally to know that humanistic psychology's perspective, one of it is Carl Rogers. Okay. Carl Rogers' theory later we will discuss, and you will realize that it's actually used by every psychologist or counseling, especially as an attribute or the characteristics of a psychologist and a counselor that must have. So you can see the chronology of humanistic psychology. It starts at 1943 and then it develops through to 1970. Okay. So the first person would be Abraham Maslow. If you're talking about Abraham Maslow, most people will know him based on his pyramid. So not only when you study humanistic here psychology, you study introduction to psychology, or you study theories of psychology, social psychology. All the subjects will actually have Abraham Maslow. He will have his pyramid. It's a very famous thing. Okay, so he published actually a journal on a theory of human motivation in psychological review, saying that humans' motivation can actually develop positive attributes. Okay. And then he went to Carl Rogers. He published about significant aspects of client-centered therapy, how this therapy actually helped that client to achieve self-fulfillment. They're able to be better. Of course, this is not doesn't work on psychiatric illness, but in normal people who's normal problems like coping system and all that. And then we have at 1957 to 1958. Maslow actually worked together with Clark Mosley, called for two meetings in Detroit, and they discussed and published about humanistic psychology, and they published it by John Cohen. Okay. The first issue of journal Humanistic Psychology was actually published in 1961. This is done by the and founded and edited by A.I. Stitch. Okay, followed by at 1962, Maslow actually published a book towards a psychology of being, in which he introduced the third force to describe humanistic psychology. Then, in 1970, finally, the American Association for Humanistic Psychology expanded internationally, changed to the name of Association for Humanistic Psychology, and held its first international conference in the Netherlands. So here is you can see how did humanistic psychology came up by Abraham Maslow, Carl Rogers. They were publishing first a few journals and all that, and then only it became like a proper and hunted to international level. These are the key assumption, that means the key terms in a humanistic perspective, that humans have free will. Here, what it means that, see, as a human being, you see, we say sometimes, environmental, because of the environment, because of the genetics, because of the, what you call predisposed thing. No, here, according to humanistic perspective, they say that each individual actually have free will. That means they are able to do or change themselves to be positive about it, is realize it's not because of genetics or what, it's about you have the power to change. Here, humans are inherently good. It means we were not born evil, we were not born stupid, all the negativity things are, it's actually inherently good. Okay? That means we can be positive. A human is more than a sum of its parts. That means it's not just a thing like, oh, your genetics because of maybe you're not so intelligent, or is it because you're short, or is it all this self-esteem for? No, it says that it's not because of the small parts and portions of your characteristic, but it's the whole thing itself. Okay, let human aspire to self-actualization. That means each one individual here would want to reach the highest potential. They want to be satisfied in their life. They want to be at the highest, the best they could. It's different individual, different self-actualization, different satisfaction. But every human being has motivation to actually reach it. Okay. The significance of subjective and conscious experience for individual. Here they say, yeah, it plays a very important role of a subjectivity. That means individuality. That means each individual, it has a different conscious experience, different subjectivity. And then we have the limitation of scientific methodology. Of course, like this is very subjective. It's based on individual experience, based on observation, based on it. So when it comes to scientific methodology, it is lacking, because we cannot say this person's method, what research finding is similar to the next person, because even twins has different results. So another thing is it's a limitation of comparative psychology. What is comparative psychology? Comparative psychology is like, you see, in behavior psychology, right? Yeah, I'm sure you have heard about the very famous what do you call it? The experiment about the dog, and then you ring the bell. It's a behavior. They say that, oh, desensitize it. You can actually program the dog to hear the bell, and then the saliva will come out and all that. Okay, that's one of the famous experiment in behavior. B.F. Skinner's experiment, but that is to study animals in order to find out about humans. So B.F. Skinner did that, but in what I call is that humanistic perspective, they do not study animals in order to find out about human. The underlying assumption that some degrees of behavior are same for all species. So we use experiments to find out on animals like apes, monkeys, what I call is that dogs. All this it's not done in humanistic perspective. It's based on individual. They say it's human, so they do not do experiments on animals to find out about it. So after that, we actually now we will discuss about who is Carl Rogers. Okay, Carl Rogers was born in 1902 and he died in 1987. He actually came up with a key concept that everyone has a potential to grow through healthy relationship, positive relationship. And then he said that every individual will need environment that consists of genuineness. That means open. That means congruence. That's the very important word that actually Carl Rogers will use. He will discuss that how congruence play a very important role here, saying that you have to be, even when you are a psychologist or a counselor, you if it's a very important to have congruence and genuineness. For example, when you have a case that you feel how to say you're biased towards the case, say for example it's about transgender or transsexual, and then you are a religious person, so you might not be able to be objective, so you will be genuine enough to push the case, say that maybe a different counselor or psychologist or expert method to decide to discuss with it, rather than taking the case and putting your values on the client. So here in this case, it says that every human being also needs genuineness and openness from other individuals. That's how they actually what you call it is that progress. So they will need an unconditional positive regard or empathy. Okay, unconditional positive regard is acceptance, acceptance of who you are as you are, and do not compare you. You see, from your side of view, all these three aspects is very important for the characteristics of a psychologist or a counselor. So no matter who, everyone needs these characteristics as a counselor, psychologist. Okay, so here empathy is putting yourself in another person's shoe. That's a very easy term to say, that you are seeing from the other person's view. Unconditional positive regard is acceptance without any condition. Okay, so all these three things happens, then it will actually encourage any individual to actually develop, be positive, because all they need is a positiveness in their life. They have the capability, each individual has the capability to actually develop. Rogers also emphasized that self-actualization is through the individual, like they reach their targets, their ambition, and they're satisfied with their life. It can be different ambition for individuals, like it can be different targets and goals for individuals. So you see that all this plays a very important role. So you become self-fulfilling person. So this is according to Carl Rogers. He has very important like three perspectives, like, which is very important is genuineness, which is also known as congruence, and then acceptance, which is known as unconditional positive regard, that empathy, being understood in order to growth for occur. Okay, so self-actualization will be a word that you will be listening to even in Maslow's theory, because it's actually to reach a part of your life that you're actually satisfied, that you're able to perform well in your aspects. It can be anything. It might not be, oh, you have to be the president or the, what you call it, a great doctor. No, it's your own life, your own goals, your own target. Here, Carl Rogers introduces a theory of personality. Here he says there are three types of personality, which is called self or self-concept. These are the types of self-concept. There are three things in self-concept: self-worth, self-image, and ideal self. Here, according to Rogers, he said that a self-concept is actually defined as the organized, consistent set of perception and beliefs about the self. Here it says that it's your self-belief that what is about you. Okay, it's you. You have organized a set of values and things that this is you. Okay, this personality theory focuses on the self as an individual, how it develops and how it changes through life. What is self-worth. Self-worth is defined as individual's perception of him or herself as well as others' perception of the individual. Here it says that how you view yourself, how high, like it's like a something like self-esteem but higher. It's like how you value yourself and how others value you according to you. So, this is what is self-worth. Self-worth develops very young, especially kids. It's on parents, teachers, your family, because what you say to them, that gives you value. See, when you motivate them, you give positive, unconditional regard, the person has value. That's it. We believe that they are valuable. So that actually develops your self-worth. So childhood experience here also play a very significant role. But it's not psychoanalysis saying that, oh, the first 6 years is important. But they say part of childhood experience is very important because it's the beginning of development of self-worth. Okay. Comments and feedback you receive from others develop self-worth. See, when you see in Facebook or some, you post a picture, you see the comments, it gives you either your self-esteem or it destroys your self-worth and esteem. Because people when say wrong, negative things towards you or say, oh, you're good for nothing, you're this. So it actually reduces your self-worth or how you feel yourself as well. And this will affect on how individuals also perceive yourself. So all this is like a how to say a circle that it's very important for self-worth. What is self-image? Self-image is also known as the real self, yourself. That refers to a perception an individual has about her or his body image. See, it can say what they feel exactly about yourself. It will say that if you feel you're beautiful, then that's how you feel. You see, you can see some people are very confident no matter how they look. It's not a standardized look of beauty of what the society has, but it's yourself, your personal uh, view of your body image. Well, actually, you can see some people who are thin. You have heard about anorexia. So you see, anorexia people actually find it themselves that they are not healthy, they are not beautiful, they're not. So self-image is how your own effect of body image effect on your inner personality, which actually significantly affects the psychological health. So the perceived self-image actually affects your thoughts, your feelings, and behavior. Like earlier example, if you feel that you are not beautiful enough, then you feel so low self-esteem. Then you will feel that you're not able to, what color said, you're not the same, you're no value, you're low, people don't look at you as pretty. So a lot of things, self-confidence goes lesser. So this all will affect. Then you feel depressed, your behavior that leads to if anorexia, they don't eat, it leads to things like that. Ideal self. What is ideal self? The ideal self refers to the person that an individual would like to be what? It's like who you like to be. Everyone has an ideal self. I would like to be like Aishwarya Rai. But it's not necessary you want to be like Aishwarya Rai. It's more on your consists of what goals, your ambitions. Some people want to be a model. Okay, so Aishwarya Rai will be like a role model. Like say, okay, this is the goals, ambition, dreams the individual wishes to achieve. So ideal self is like, okay, in future, this is how I look at myself. I want to be like this. Okay, I want to have a family. I want to have a house. I want to have this. So this is your ideal, what you prefer, how you want to be, who you want to be. Here you can see actually like a comparison in the like a simple way. Okay, what is self-worth is how a person perceives him or herself and how others perceive that individual. Their self-image is how actually a person really is. An ideal self is what a person would like to be. Okay, how do you develop the self? A very congruent. Congruent again, it means being honest, being what sincere about who you are. Okay, how is this? How congruence is highly related to the development of self-worth. That means ability to accept objective that you are sincere, you're honest to yourself and to say what is your self-worth, self-image, and ideal self. Okay, congruence exists with actual experience and your ideals are very consistent or almost similar. That means you want your ideal self to be as real as your real self. So this is when congruence. When incongruence happens, that's when you become what you expect and what you really are is not the same. That's when problem has. So this is rarely happens because usually human beings are trying to reach their self ideals. What is unconditional positive regard? Earlier we discussed. Here again, it's defined as a support and non-judgmental on the part of a therapist, it's a counselor, psychologist, regardless of a client's feelings, behavior, and experience. Say a rapist, say if your patient or your client is actually a rapist. So you should be non-judgmental, see why, what happened. Maybe they have a what made them so to do a bully or what. So you have to give an unconditional positive regard. So able to, without judgment, without being biased, you're able to give them support. Okay. A therapist or a counselor or a psychologist should always allow a client to able to express his or her feelings and experience. It can be good, it can be bad, because when a client knows that you can accept, they will tell you everything. If they believe that you're judging them, then they won't be sincere and honest to you as well. And so the point of coming in the therapy itself fails because they're not able to discuss what actually they feel bad about or they feel low about because they feel they are being judged. The purpose of this therapy is actually to provide care. See, sometimes all a client needs sometimes is to listen, to someone to listen to them and able to accept them. And when this happens, the client has a feeling that they can have their own feelings and experience, and this makes them who they are. See, through unconditional positive regards and acceptance, client is able to accept their own behavior and they're able to learn from their behavior and their experience, which will accept, contribute to a positive self-image. What is self-actualization? Self-actualization here, it states that how an individual actually achieves growth and fully reaches their his or her potential. It's a process. Okay. You can go through many. Maslow, you will see the pyramid. That's how they get their self-actualization. Yeah, an individual can achieve when the environment is actually good. One is willing to be open and then allow that the patient and the client to actually be themselves, feel how they feel and talk about how they feel. So here it says that each individual is very unique. Of course, even twins are not the same. So due to variation of personality, experience, and situation, you see, it changes. A human, of course, grows. You see, you won't be stagnant because everything affects you. So they grow. Their personality changes based on experience, situation. So there is no one approach or formula to say, oh, this is the only way you can achieve self-actualization. It depends on the individual itself, how they're going to reach their self-actualization. So self-actualization cannot be achieved when you have poor self-concept. That means you have poor self-esteem, cannot have you feel bad about yourself, you low confidence, and with all this external pressure, about people, how they perceive you and all that. So it it actually affects your own belief and your own value. So you cannot perform and actually actualize your. So that's actually a fully functioning person. According to Rogers, what is a fully functioning person is when she or he continues to fulfill their actualization tendency. That means they have reached their goal and they have reached and they're able to perform it and they're able to maintain it. So in order to become a fully functioning person, a person must actually experience unconditional positive regard, able to receive acceptance from others, empathy, incongruence. So here he said all this is very important according to him. Okay. And then an individual only will become a fully functioning person, then only they can actually reach self-actualization. An individual must become fully functioning person. That means they cannot say that you cannot able to function or you cannot reach, because you must be able to function. A fully functioning person is a person who's able to live in the moment without having doubts about themselves fully, or feeling that that worry, feeling doubtful, feeling low, depressed. No, you feel that you are excited. You're enjoying your fullness. You're at the moment. Okay. Rogers identified there are five characteristics of fully functioning people, which is openness to experience. Very, you want to go through anything. You're able, anything negative or positive, you can able to accept it. You're able to go through it. You will function. Okay, existential living. You have trust. You are creative. Not necessarily you're going to draw what, but able to find options. Able to find ways and how to actually go through obstacles and things like that, and have a fulfilled life. No, like, oh, I regret this, I regret, oh, I want to change my life, I want to go to backwards. No, they actually live. No matter wrong or right or negative or positive, they say that, oh, all this make who they are. They enjoy their life. So, what is openness to experience? Carl Rogers emphasized these emotions as a key to openness. A person must understand and accept his or her positive, negative feelings. They're able to say that they have some low self-esteem, a little bit. It's impossible to have everything high. That is also can be a problem. So, but they're able to accept it that okay, this is not certain things they're not good at. This is certain things they're good at. This is how they feel. It's okay to have that. And then, of course, to leave what is stress, you have refers to living at the moment, like saying that that you actually function able to live in present without always looking backwards. That you have that that you whatever you're doing is right. You're able to trust that this is the way it's going to be. Never mind, it's all things are going to work out well. And then you have creativity. It's like they do things that they feel right. They it's linked to how you feel, your perception of your situation. You do not think like, oh, this might not be this. No, it's your perception. And then fulfilled life is ability to actually gain new information, new experience, and then change and adapt to different situations. Here, existential living. Here it means that a person who will live with feel happy, satisfied with their life, career, family, relationship, no matter what are the pros and the cons. Here we discuss what Carl Rogers, one of the theories in humanistic. And now we'll be discussing Abraham Maslow, as I said, the theory, the pyramid theory. So he is very known for the theory of hierarchy of needs. He said that to actually achieve self-actualization, there are certain attributes that you need to achieve, which is the pyramid. Okay, this is also his biggest contribution to the field of psychology. So you can study, you study in introduction to psychology, social psychology. So this plays important. If you're doing motivation, self-esteem, topics like this, you have this Abraham Maslow, one of the famous theorists regarding it. According to Maslow, at 1923, a human is actually motivated to reach satisfaction in life through fulfillment of needs, what he or she needs. It can be basic needs, it can be what do you call not necessities, but it's how they actually achieve these things. So this is how they fulfill their needs and achieve their satisfaction. Here he focuses on the positive aspects of human behavior. Again, humanism is actually regarding more on the positive side. So what goes right with the individual? It depends on each individual what actually he or she thinks is positive for themselves. Maslow introduces three very major theories, which is the hierarchy of needs, self-actualization, and peak experience. Okay, earlier we discussed self-actualization according to Rogers. Okay, now we will see Abraham Maslow. What is he saying? Okay, hierarchy of needs is the pyramid. Okay, so the food pyramid, we'll discuss his pyramid. Okay, here he said that first, you need to have the first layer, the biggest layer is what we call is psychological needs. And then you have safety needs. And then you have belonging and love needs. And then you have self-esteem and self-actualization. So here, what is psychological needs? It's basically the base needs like food, water, oxygen, things like that. This is very important. Without food and all that, a person can never reach self-actualization because you are struggling to even meet your basic need. Okay, safety needs is where you live in. Okay, it's about how safe is the place, your environment, whether you're in abusive. All this is important. Whether you are burglared or you get easily. Imagine if you do not have a compound, you're just living in the streets. How are you going to reach your self actualization? Okay, belonging, love, and needs is like a very important thing. Is no man is an island. An individual cannot live alone. They want to feel love. They want to feel they belong somewhere. May not be to a lot of people, but to the people who they matter to them. So they feel they need to be loved, to be accepted, they want to belong somewhere they feel. Then we have your esteem, your self-esteem means like how you feel about yourself, how others feel about you. That motivates how you are, your how your confidence is about yourself. And then at the end, when you have all this, you actually live, feel life and you reach your self-actualization. He divides five needs into like deficiency needs and growth of being needs. Okay, there's D needs and B needs. So he said like we have psychological safety, love, esteem as a deficiency, and self-actualization is actually the B need. What you actually need all this for to actually reach your goal, your targets, and all that to feel like that. So deficiency needs is the needs that without which human cannot survive. Anything that lack of all this for, you will feel unpleasant, you feel sad, you feel depressed, you feel low, you feel not safe. All this will actually cause to be able to reach the B need, which is self-actualization. Okay, for deficiency needs, a person will feel nothing when the needs have been fulfilled. They will feel uncomfortable, such as always feeling anxious. They feel low self-esteem when you lack of that. Okay, and then you have a how growth needs are very different. It's like a deficiency needs. It does not involve of lack something, but rather compromise of motivation of being to grow as a human being. Because you cannot say every individual or rich self actually because they have everything is positive. No, it's about how you're able to cope even in negative things that you're able, all the self-esteem will help you over. That's okay, one-time failure. Have you heard about Abraham Lincoln? He says that he failed so many times in life, but what makes him, failure is a key. It's something like this. You have the self-esteem because you're able to have, okay, you have a safe place, you have someone to support you, all this. So growth needs are very different from deficiency needs because it compromises motivation to grow. Okay, it's not about your psychological need, like you need water, you need oxygen. No, it's more on motivation, your self-confidence. So here, an individual can only achieve self-actualization when the growth needs have been satisfied. This is according to Maslow. So earlier we discussed about self. Rogers, he said he needs three: congruence, positive warm regard, and what called empathy. So here he is telling that you need all these needs and all these four things. Then only you can actually self-actualize. You can live a satisfied life. So one of his term is called peak experience. What is a peak experience? In any of your life, you will have a top, very high peak of your life. So it refers to a very tremendous or intensified experience. It can be a loss of yourself or transcendence. It can be anything that for example, your parents passing away when you're young, or you're losing a child, or anything that it's a very peak experience to yourself. Individually, it can be different for everyone. So the kind of experience actually gives the individual to experience the wholeness of being, and rather than divided into parts, for example, head or heart, it feels you both cognitively, psychologically, emotionally, all in. So this will actually help promote growth and change in human behavior. Because see, when something happens, right, that's when you learn how to adjust, to adapt, how to better, how to go through it. You have okay, it's not you fall back, it's how you actually develop yourself. So he said all this, and you see, in life you can never have a stagnant. You will have up and down. How do you have? So this experience can be profound of happiness, rapture, understanding, love. It's a height of sanity. Meaning, you see, earlier when I said, okay, you lost of yourself or anything like that. Okay, when you know something and then you go through, you believe that, oh, how to say, this is what at least you managed to experience this, and you will go through it. It make you who you are. You can go through this means you can go through anything in life. Okay. Not every self-actualized person experiences peak, but only a self-actualizer experience can reach peak experience according. Okay. And then earlier we said that we'll discuss what is the similarity and the contrast between what you call Maslow and Carl Rogers. So actually, what is the similarity between them? That both the theories actually look at a positive regards, meaning that you will see that being a human being, that is you need positiveness. See, according to him, you say motivation, self needs, and all that. So he said that this is the ability to grow, capabilities, inner strength of humans. They believe that each individual has actually the power to change and to actualize. They are inherently good. They were born good, positive. Okay. The differences between this them is the concept of self-actualization, how they reach. You see, according to Rogers, it's a three important aspects there: positive form regard, unconditional, what I call it is that unconditional judgment, judgmental, empathy, congruence, and all that. So, Abraham Maslow has this hierarchy. So here it says that Carl Rogers explained self-actualization in relation to environment and surrounding. On the other hand, Abraham Maslow says that it's based on individual's process of the self. Okay. And then Carl Rogers say everyone can achieve. But Abraham Maslow say only 2% of people in the world actually achieve self-actualization. Carl Rogers say the important to reach is your early experience. That means your childhood, your motivation, your self image is provided by that. Here he said that hierarchy of needs. Maslow say no, it's based on your hierarchy, and when you achieve everything of this, then you can reach self actualization. Here, it's a bit different because um, Carl Rogers actually emphasizes on the early childhood, saying that your self worth. Here he said that you need to achieve a lot of things to actually reach self-actualization. That's why they say only 2%. On the other hand, Carl Rogers say everyone can. And then he said that therapy is to help to reach self-actualization. Abraham Maslow said, no, there's no one specific approach to reach self-actualization. We have different methodologies in humanistic psychology. We have a case study, unstructured interview, and open-ended questionnaire. Okay, case study is actually based on individual. You have journals and all that. They have lots of cases discussing on each individual, different people and all that. So you study of that. And then you have an unstructured interview. That means it's not, you do qualitative, quantitative method, find out the question. No, it's a question. It's an interview. It's very objective. Very subjective. Depends on the individual. You can go here from name and then go to emotion, then come back here how you feel. It can be. It's not a structured. And then you have an open-ended questionnaire where it says that everything is how you feel. It's not that you can say A or B. So you can never get one individual's answer the same as the other. It'll be different because all is how you feel. How it's not okay. Because your name is close-ended. Whatever it is, how are you feeling happy? Yes or no? Or the questions like you rate 1 to 5. No, open-ended question is how are you feeling? Please tell me more about your feeling. So it gives a more explanation, more depth of it. Unstructured, again, earlier, as I said, it can run around. So it's very correlated to each other. See, what are the strengths and limitations in humanistic psychology? You can see the strength is its focus as an entire person. Okay, means it's an whole individual. It doesn't only just say cognitive. It doesn't say only emotion, behavior. It doesn't say about psychoanalysis or your early child. No, it's about the whole and individual itself. The limitation, on the other hand, is because of it. Because it's individualistic. That means you can never have a similarity. There's everyone different. That means you cannot fulfill everyone. Okay. And then you have a positive approach. It's all about positive psychology. It's very positive about explaining about human behavior. That's the thing. But the limitation is you can never have scientific approach to explore this human behavior. But each behavior is very different according to them. And then strength, it applies real life application, but ignores the genetics and biological aspect. It doesn't not by see when you learn about Carl Rogers or Abraham Maslow, they never said about how genetics plays on biologically. They see as a human, as in general that oh you have the gene. It doesn't say how the genetics can help can actually affect. Like say imagine a person is has an autism or has some genetical defect. And this will actually affect your self-worth a little. But according to the humanistic psychology, no, it doesn't. All this full. You do not see only one aspect that will actually demotivate. But it ignores totally the biological aspect of it. Okay. Methodologies provides insight into human behavior. On the other hand, it is opposition to determinism of science. Like, science has a like objective, you have to experiment, it has to be a structure. So here it is not. And then you have highlights individualistic. That's every individual is different. It's idiopathic. It says that every trait, everyone. Okay. But when it comes to therapy, it can be ineffective because it's too general. Like of course, it helps the individual. You see, like I told you, there's three important characters. It helps as a therapist to make you feel able to talk. But you need more than that to actually help the client to reach self-actualization or achieve this or to help them to become better. Okay. So this is how we have discussed about Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers, and then we see how it differentiates from psychoanalysis and congruence. So it's very simple. There's only main two theories, Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. So it's like both of them have self-actualization, but they are different ways of actually reaching self-actualization and different meaning of it, meaning that they one say that self-actualization is very difficult to achieve because only 2% can, and one more say, but they are very subjectivity. They are not object- so it's not very scientific. It's more on an artistic because you cannot have one method like a scientific method to prove exactly what is the. So I will end the chapter here. You see, you can actually compare it to other topics like biology, cognitive behavior. Thank you.